Okay, guys, we are back again. Check, check, 1, 2.
She crazy.
I love my little microphone.
She crazy.
Okay, so last Sunday we did part 3, and this time we're doing part 4.
Yes.
And so Lewis is going to give us a little bit of information about where the pride flag comes from, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about some political victories and some other things. As I said last week, he's going to touch a little bit on the AIDS pandemic and kind of what happened there. I lost a friend from AIDS. And then he's also going to touch base on the Matthew Shepard story. And that's another story that just broke my heart and blew me away of what happened to that kid. So anyways, Lewis, take it away about the flag. So how did we come up with this flag?
So, this is going back to the first parade. They needed a symbol or some type of sign showing pride. Mm-hmm. And so actually we took what was once a bad thing for our community and turned it into a positive thing. So back whenever Hitler was in power, anybody that identified as homosexual, lesbian, transgender, whatever it is, they, on their suits, they would have a upside down pink triangle. And that would mean that would identify that you were a homosexual or in the community of that. And it was put upside down to dehumanize that person. Basically make them feel lower than low. So we took that pink triangle, we turned it from upside down to right side up to inspire and call power to it, saying that it was once something bad is now good. Mm-hmm. And so in the 1970s, 1978 to be exact, a gentleman by the name of Gilbert Baker was asked by, actually you didn't know this, Harvey Milk.
Really?
Yes, asked by Harvey Milk.
He's one of the main activists for the pride and for the gay community.
Was asked to make something more, a little bit more for the community that represents us, something that's not from the past, but something that's going to be used in the future. So Gilbert Baker was like, okay, let's just put our brains together. And he was like, he thought of the one thing that was beautiful and was great for, it's Mother Nature's gift. So he thought of the rainbow. So initially there were 8 stripes, all of that you see in the pride flag today, plus 2 others, indigo and pink. Because whenever he made the first flag, it had pink in it. He actually dyed the pink fabric to make it part of the flag.
Wow.
But whenever it was time for him to do a mass distribution, the flag companies kind of said, we really don't make that color, so we can't make it. So then they had to go back and kind of look at things, and so they dropped 2 colors. They dropped pink and indigo. And that gives us our 6 stripe flag. Now we do have a more progressive flag that includes those of people of color, as well as the transgender flag as well. But yeah, that's the history behind it.
That's good. I did not know anything, especially about the triangle part.
Yeah.
And we all know that was not taught in history.
77, for instance, in New York, the Supreme Court ruled that a transgender woman named Renee Richards could play in the U.S. Open tennis as a woman. Yes. Kathy, I'm going to probably butcher this name, I'm sorry. It's going to be Kajasnostiko.
Great job.
Won a seat in
Kazachenko. Kazachenko. That's
it. Won a seat to the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council in 1974 as becoming the first American elected to public office.
Wow. Okay.
Harvey Milk.
Yes.
Harvey Milk.
Milk.
We all know and love
what he did.
Beautiful work that he did. He in 1978 he was an openly gay man who ran for political office in California. Unfortunately,
he was assassinated.
He was assassinated for being who he is. And then we went as Gilbert
Yes.
Baker was the first artist and gay rights activist to create the emblem of the flag. Those are the main one. I mean, some of the main ones that I have.
Okay.
I do have some more. I'm just going to name these off.
Yeah, please do.
We all know, we'll all recognize these names once I say them, and I'm really bad at pronouncing things, so please forgive me.
Exactly.
Alan Turing. He was a computer scientist. I have James Baldwin.
Oh yes, James Baldwin.
He is an influential writer. Christine Jorgensen. She was the first publicly that came out publicly as transgender. Let's see, Baynard Rustin. He worked closely with the Martin Luther King Jr. He was the right-hand man for him. Barbara Getting, sorry. She was the activist for gay rights movement. Did a lot of great work for our community. We all know Marsha P. Johnson. You know, Stonewall riots, and her partner in crime was Sylvia Rivera. Let's see, Billie Jean King,
yes,
professional tennis.
We were watching
player.
her, yes.
Yes, she was outed as a lesbian in 1981. She became the first openly gay athlete. I can go on for days.
Yes.
I think
Larry Kramer.
Larry Kramer is known for his writings about influential organizations during the AIDS crisis. Yeah.
So that's something too that we need to touch on really quick, is the outbreak of the AIDS, the pandemic that took out a lot of our gay community. I had a dear friend, this is a long time ago, y'all. This is a long time ago in the 80s, that when I worked retail, I had a gentleman that, it's so funny because him and I did not get along at the very beginning. Imagine that.
I wonder why.
Imagine that. And so then he just, I don't know, reached out to me with an olive branch and asked me to come to one of his parties. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about all that, but I did. And I think that's when we just became best friends.
It happens that way.
It does, because he loved to party, and so do I. Anyways, no, but the thing of it is that this guy, he was just a gentle giant, so to speak, you know, and he did a lot for people that I had no clue about. But what upset me the most, or I guess what made me really sad about the whole situation, he got AIDS, and the people that he thought that was his friends, or that was his friends when we worked together and that kind of thing, they just turned against him. And that it hurt his soul, because these are the people that he worked with for years, co-workers, colleagues, friends, and they didn't want to go near him. And so he died. He didn't have any family members or anything, and it was me and this other lady, and I'll never forget it. She was there, and it was just a sad deal, you know. And I think about him quite often, especially when I see someone being attacked for, you know, being gay or a transgender person. I think of him. And then the other person that I think about, who I did not know, was Matthew Shepard. And he was another one that it just upset me, because he was so young. And how could anybody hate somebody that bad because they're gay, right? So Lewis is going to touch on some of these things. He's going to start with the AIDS, and then he'll get into Matthew Shepard.
Yes. So it wasn't until the 1980s, early 1900s, or 1990s, sorry, whenever the Center of Disease Control and Prevention came out and said that we have this new epidemic. It's AIDS, which is human immunodeficiency.
Our tongues are tied. Virus.
We ate it just a little too much. And it was considered, they then made a test for HIV in 1985.
Yeah.
It was a disease that nobody knew about. Knew how to treat it, knew how to they thought back then that you can get it just by a touch.
Right, exactly.
It wasn't something that was widely researched, because you know, they didn't care, because it distinctly hurt the LGBTQ IA community at that time. So they just truly did put their full foot forward in finding out that cure or what it was, or they just made everybody fear it. In 1988 was declared December 1st as World AIDS Day. And that's where at least 100,000 reported cases of AIDS in the United States of America.
And the sad thing about it is that they have worked on antivirals and different things like that to help that out. And I will say there's progress.
Oh yeah,
because we don't see what we saw. Well, you didn't see.
I didn't.
But I'm old, so I did. I did see it. And so it was like, there were so many benefits. Like Freddie Mercury and the AIDS benefits there. And then you had, I remember watching HBO with Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal and Robin Williams doing that AIDS benefit. It was a lot during the 80s to try to figure out what was going on and to help. So we are way past that, but we still have a long ways to go on that.
Yeah. We do have a few, I would say a long way to go whenever it comes to that, because we, of course, want a cure, just like we want a cure for cancer and things of that nature. But, like it was back then, it's not a death sentence now.
Right.
You can, there's medication out there that you can take, that you can, live up into your 50s, 60s, 70s. But the best thing to know is know your status. You know your status, you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting others.
Yes.
So go get tested.
Yes.
Know your status. Like she said, Matthew Shepard Act, that it was Lawrence versus Texas that won the state's anti-sodomy law to be stricken down. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that, and it was a landmark case that
shocked the world,
catapulted our emotions everywhere.
It was definitely a big win.
It was definitely a big win, because this poor soul, back in 1998, 21-year-old Matthew Shepard was pistol whipped, tortured, and tied to and left for dead. The torture and the hurt that child went through is not okay. It shouldn't take for somebody to die for that to happen.
Yes.
Although he sacrificed his life just being who he is and how that happened, we are where we are today. So that's a win. But it's still
a tragedy. It's a tragedy that something like that had to happen, and I think that's another reason why I'm so close to this and support and an ally, because African Americans too, and I'm not stepping on this. This is the Pride miniseries, but the purpose of me doing this Pride miniseries is for the simple fact that even the African Americans receive so much hate, just like our fellow gay men or our fellow lesbian women, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I know we misunderstand people, but to dehumanize and to brutally attack someone based on their race, color, religion, transgender, whatever, it's just terrible of the things that we've all been through and what has happened. Okay, guys, I'm just going to turn this just a little bit because I'm pretty sure she don't want to be in that video. So, okay, go ahead.
So I'm actually going to go back and loop back to gay marriage and how it was legalized. In 2014, the first Massachusetts was the first state to legalize the gay marriage, and 27 couples across the state tied the knot in 2004.
How many was that again?
27 couples.
Wow, okay.
27 couples that day that it was passed went to the court and said, this is my wife or this is my husband, and I want to spend the rest of life.
That's a good victory, though.
That's a great victory.
That's a great victory.
It still stands today, which means that my children or their children, whoever they are, can get married to whoever they want.
Yeah.